They decided to run down the main road.
and they didn't stop the traffic. The traffic just kept going on.
Just be careful.
It's astonishing. But there were lots of races on, which is really good. And I think today, we've got a really good selection of races in the locality. Ones that we've organised ourselves in the past. Lots of other clubs doing it and so on. It's good to see. And there seems to be another running boom at the moment. Last 5 odd years at least, there's been, with the exception of the pandemic, there's been great expansion in running, and we've seen it as a club ourselves. And it's got to be good, hasn't it?
The only thing I'm disappointed about is that people seem to be concentrating on the park runs, and whereas in our early days we had the Welsh Track and Field League, and that's just died a death now because people weren't competing at that level, track and field.
I think there's a problem. I think also it doesn't help that there's not as many facilities around as well. It's quite challenging to have access to facilities, and we've been talking locally about how good it would be to have a track basically in the locality. Reading John's book and all the research he's done, I was only a couple of nights ago reading in the 1930s. I was doing some work on the online website, and in the 1930s there was newspaper articles saying, "Oh yes, we're about to have a new track in Port Talbot, we're about to have a new track in Port Talbot." And 40 years I think it was before it arrived.
But 1968, yes.
There we are. So it was literally 30 years at least.
And then a few years ago, they built the new school on the Western Avenue playing fields, and they demolished the track. And are they talking about building a new one?
Well, I hope they are.
It's an ideal opportunity when they build the school.
Yes. And I think that would open up the possibility of people broadening the range of athletic skills that they develop. And interest, because there will be some pupils in schools and people living locally who might not want to run at all, but might well want to participate in other field events, or might want to run more formally around a track rather than necessarily doing marathons or whatever else. And so there's a mix, and I think the mix is good if we can provide that for people. But you do need access to facilities and affordable activities.
When John said about running on the track, you know, about speed work earlier on, that's what I done with speed work, is running, on the track, because you'd open meetings as well. So to some of the you'd have 4 open meetings in Swansea.
They were graded as well, so that say for an 800 metres, they'd ask for people who could do 2 minutes. And perhaps there'd be 6 or 7 who could manage that. They'd run in the first race. Usually you'd have perhaps 20 or 30 entrants, sometimes more, so you'd have 3, 4 or 5 races, all graded to the ability of the people. So the next race then would be perhaps 2 minutes to 2 minutes 5. So if someone was able to run in 2 minutes, they'd come last in the first race, they'd win the second race. And I remember an occasion where actually Alan Roper used to run in the first race and use it as a training session, and he'd also run in the second race and he'd win both. And one day the chap who came second was sort of 2:01 time. He complained bitterly to the organisers, "What's he doing in my race? I would have won it if he hadn't done it." He ran in his own race first of all. So they stopped doing that then. You could only do the one race.
Which is fair enough, isn't it? You say that it was graded. The 5,000 metres, obviously got more runners, 16 runners or whatever. It was most probably limited by the timekeepers. And they had an A race and then a B race. And I was in the C race, because the C race was anybody over 16 minutes, and I'd done 16:03. But I was up at the top runners, but that was the quality of the running.
That is
I was in the C race.
16:03. Just when you were talking about track and field, I was reading, because I'm doing this work on the 1930s section. I was looking at the detail of the sporting events that were held in various places, and they would say there'll be a 100-metre dash or flat race, they used to call it.
100 yards.
Sorry?
100 yards.
Yes.
In those days.
Yeah.
But that was the point. It was the word, and there were egg and spoon races in some.
Yeah. Oh,
there
yeah.
were tug of war.
Yeah.
And the one that got me, and I think it was for ladies, it was 60. It must have been yards, not meters. 60 yards backward run. And I just thought, I really see the variety and stuff. I was brilliant, but I just wondered. I'm starting to search now more closely to find the more unusual things that people were doing. I'm not saying that was a very common race, but egg and spoon race was quite common. It wasn't just little ones. Sack race. That's right. That was another one.
Three-legged race.
I haven't found a three-legged yet, but I'm sure there are.
There was one which caught my eye. They had plant pots, and they had to stand on the plant pots, and they weren't fixed, but they had to move the plant pot forward, take a step forward, move the next one. But that was only for about 50 yards, I think. So.
I don't know if you're knowledgeable about this, but one of the things, again, reading, I got interested in was that you said a bit earlier, lots of the sports facilities were not there, there were not tracks and so on. So people would lay out a track on a rugby field or something like that. And they're in lots of that was the venue for lots of sporting activities. So I'm guessing that was done predominantly in the summer, but not necessarily exclusively. So they, I assume, would put white marker lines out on the pitch and do it that way.
That's right. The Welsh Championships were held on the Aberafan ground in 1948, organised by Harriers.
So it's all grass surface.
All grass,
not necessarily. Wouldn't be as
when you compare to the tracks now, no comparison running on grass and running on a synthetic track.
But some of those rugby players, and John Collins has mentioned a few times at various things, where the wingers were absolutely amazing athletes. I'm not sure. I think some of them did athletics in the summer, didn't they?
They did.
Incredible times. But they play on the wing in the winter and be like Billy Dash and they'd go away. Oh, good.
Nigel Walker did the reverse, didn't he? He played rugby and then he went not play athletics and he went to rugby.
He was an Olympic hurdler and then went to play for Cardiff and Wales.
I said, I forgot about Wales,
Fastest rugby player since Martin Fire.
The
vetch once, and from a standing start, he ran around a defender. he just left this person. I was standing, I couldn't believe he ran past me. The sheer pace that you've seen when you've seen your life, and that was true astonishing speed. Fantastic. Well, thank you, gentlemen. That was really interesting.
It was worried we weren't going to find anything to talk about.
Never in danger when you were present.